Hey, fourth grade. This is our final video for chapter 3 because we are reviewing for our test. So obviously this video is going to be a little bit longer than the other ones for our lessons because this is going over every single lesson in chapter 3. So if there was a couple lessons that you were struggling with during this chapter, you can go ahead and skip around till you see those lessons on here. I'm going to go in order from start to finish. And so hopefully you'll stick with me on this journey through every lesson. I'll just kind of quickly summarize each one and go over the main things that you need to know. And then if you stick around to the end of the video, we're going to go over some of the review worksheet that you'll have for homework or for your worksheet for today. So our very first thing that we talked about was what is multiplication? And so we talked about why do we multiply? What is multiplication used for? Multiplication, if you remember, is just a faster way to add. So instead of doing repeated addition, where we're going to do things like 5 plus 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 5, instead we can take however many 5s we're adding and we can multiply 5 times that amount. So in this case, 5 was on here 6 times. We can do 5 times 6 and get 30 very easily. We can also think about multiplication in terms of groupings. So if we have 4 groups and there's 3 things in each group, we can say, well, 4 times 3 is 12. And we can figure out 4 times 3 by drawing groupings, if that's a way that helps us to figure that out. So you can draw 4 groups, put 3 in each group, and count how many are there. Now, I don't suggest that we stick with this strategy because that takes a long time to solve instead of just knowing 4 times 3 is 12. Boom. So if you're struggling with multiplication, grab some flashcards, get to work, practice, practice, practice. And groupings are just a way for us to be able to visualize a multiplication problem. So if you can't visualize something, draw a picture so that you can. We also have arrays in multiplication, and arrays are columns and rows. So how many things are in each row? How many rows are there? If we multiply that together, we figure out the total amount. So this was a 3 by 6 or a 6 by 3. And so 3 times 6 or 6 times 3, whichever way you look at it, is 18. The next one was the area model, so figuring out how much space is in a room or a certain area. So by looking at this area model, we can see there's 2 rows and 4 columns. Again, it's very similar to an array, but this is just dealing with space, not with objects or people or things. And so in our area model, we can say, well, there's 2 rows, 4 columns, and 2 times 4 is 8. So that's how I can figure out how much area there is in that space. And make sure that you are consistently practicing your math songs. I hope that a lot of you realized how helpful those are, especially once we got to that multiples lesson, which is 3-7b, which I'll get to by the end of this video. And so keep practicing, especially with the chapter that we're moving to next. Hint, hint. All right, so then we moved on to lesson 1. So that was kind of like an introduction to everything. And you can see in my video there, I was doing my little dance because I love to dance and sing and do all of that stuff because it helps me to remember things. We focused a lot on fact families. And when we started out this chapter, we needed to know what are the names of all the places in a multiplication problem, what are the names of all the things in a division problem. And so that took us to this slide. And a great way to do that is obviously through song, because how else would we remember things like dividend, divisor, and quotient, such strange names, right? So get your singing voices ready and your arms ready, because we're going to sing. Ready? Dividend divided by the divisor equals the quotient. Dividend divided by the divisor equals the quotient. We also remembered a factor times a factor equals a product by hopping around like crazy bunnies. So get up and hop it out. A factor times a factor equals a product. Okay? And so knowing that 4 and 6, no matter where they're at, they're both factors because they can switch places. Just like when we were adding, the 2 numbers that we added were called addends. And that's because of the commutative property. They have the same name because they can flip-flop. In a division problem, we can't flip-flop 24 and 4 because we can't take 4 and split it amongst 24 people. And so that's why they each have a specific name, because they have to be in a specific spot to make the problem work. So fact families was when we were given 3 numbers that work together using multiplication and division, and we had to set up our problems. When we multiply, our answer is bigger. When we divide, our answer is a smaller amount because we're taking an amount and we're splitting it apart into smaller chunks. So make sure that when you set up your fact families that you multiply the 2 smaller numbers to equal the larger number. And when you divide, you start with a larger number and divide by a smaller number to get the other small number. So in this case, I would do 9 times 3 equals 27. 3 times 9 equals 27. 27 divided by 9 equals 3. And 27 divided by 3 equals 9. Looking at the missing factors or products or quotients or whichever way you like to think about it. If we have a large number, then that is going to be our product. And so we would do 21 divided by 7, which would equal 3. We could do 6 times 6 equals 36. We could do 63 divided by 7 equals 9. So we have to think using our knowledge of fact families and the fact that a larger number is either the answer to a multiplication or the dividend to a division problem, we can then find our missing parts to our fact families. So I'll delete those later. Okay, so let's move on then. We're now to the introduction to division, which was also lesson 2 in our math book. And so you're more than welcome to go through your math book while I go through this and kind of do a couple sample problems. We haven't used our math book a huge amount during this chapter, so there's plenty of extra problems for you to work out to help you practice. So again, when we divide, what we're doing is we're taking an amount that we have and we're splitting it into smaller sections, but each section has the same amount in it. So if I had 20 students and I wanted to split them up into 5 groups, I could do that and have an equal amount in each group because 5 goes into 20 4 times exactly. So each group would have 4 students in it and I would have 5 groups. I can also think about this in terms of repeated subtraction. So I could take 20 and then subtract 5 again, subtract 5 again, subtract 5 again, all the way until I get to 0, and the amount of times that I subtract is the answer. So you can see here that as I subtract, I do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and so the answer is 4. We can also think about division in terms of grouping. If I have 42 students and I need to split them into 6 groups, I can draw 6 groups and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on until I get all the way to 42, which obviously takes a very long time. Again, groupings are more for a visual. If you can't picture a problem, draw it yourself. Create your own creation. And obviously, we just talked about fact families. We always make our dividend the largest amount because that's the amount that we're splitting into smaller pieces. The number that we divide by, the divisor, is how many groups we're splitting into. And then the quotient, our answer, is how many things go in each of those groups. Lesson 3 is coming up. Lesson 3 was all about comparisons. Okay, so saying 5 times as many as 6. Well, all that means is I'm taking 5 times 6. So being able to match those up is very important. Let's look at some of these that aren't done. 6 times as much as 8 is 48. Remember, is in math means equals. And so as we're going through this, we can just say 6 times 6 equals 36, and boom, there's my answer. On the next slide, we kind of had to fill in the blanks. So 24, remember, is means equals. So 24 equals 8 times something. Well, if 24 equals 8 times something, that means 24 equals 8 24 divided by 8 is also equal to this amount. And if we know our 8th song or we know our 4th song, we would know that our answer is 4. No, it's not. Silly Mrs. Engelbrecht. Our answer is 3. I grabbed the wrong one. Mistakes are our friends, right? As long as we're able to catch them and understand why we made them. All right, then something times as much as 8 is 32. That's where I was going with that. 4 times 8 was equal to 32. 42 is 6 times as much as, and if you remember from the previous lesson, that was 7. And so on and so forth. Down here is where we saw the most mistakes on this worksheet. So we have to remember that times as many means we're multiplying, more means we're adding, less means we're subtracting. So if it just says more, that's not enough to be able to represent a multiplication problem. Less is nowhere close because that is more on the track towards division than anything, but right now it's only subtraction because we only see the word less. So I know that these two are out and I'm left with the top two, but I have to make sure they're set up correctly. This one, if we remember, is means equals. So this says 6 equals 3 times 18. Now, if I take 18 and I have 3 groups of 18, there's no way that I'm going to have an answer of 6 because 6 is a much smaller number than 18. But this one says 18 equals 6 times 3, and that's exactly what this says, so our answer would go here. Okay, lesson 4, we were doing some more comparisons, but this time we had to write out equations, and this was kind of tough for some of us. So equations are a really big skill that we start in 4th grade, and so we have to think about all the things that are in our word problem. We have to think about cube strategy. We need to circle the numbers, underline the question, box the keywords, evaluate, and solve. So here I have Julie earned $25. This, which refers back to the 25 they just told us about, so I can write 25 is means equals 5 times as much as Lisa. And actually, I'm going to use a money sign because L kind of looks like a 1 sometimes. So our equation was in the problem. We just had to kind of decode it. So 25 equals 5 times something. 5 times what is 25? 25 divided by 5 is what? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 5 times. So this amount is equal to 5. Okay, Lisa earns $5. Here it says the red team scored 4 goals, blue team scored 3 times as many goals. How many goals did the blue team score? So if the red team scored 4 goals and the blue team scored 3 times as many, that means we're going to take 4 times 3, and it's going to equal the amount of goals. Remember, it says to write an equation and use a symbol for the unknown, so I'm using letters for variables, and then I will just do a few spaces and then say what the solved answer is. So 4 times 3 is 12, so that means G is equal to 12. Okay? Moving on to our next lesson, we have multiplication properties and division rules. So we have commutative, identity, 0, and the division rule. So when we think about it, okay, commutative, just like addition, it changes the order. Identity property, we say identity, multiplies by 1. Do it again. Commutative property changes the order. Identity multiplies by 1. Okay, then zero property, we came up with this in class. Okay, so make a big 0 with your arms. Anything times 0 is 0. All right, so we start with 0, we multiply by something, and we end with 0. So in this case, 6 times 0 is 0. That's using the 0 property, right? Oh no, I can't do that because I own the document. Rats. All right. Anywho, this one, we're multiplying by 1. I'm stuck. Identity, anything multiplied by 1 is itself. And so 25 times 1 is equal to 25. That's the identity property. Down here, we have 3 times 4 is the same as 4 times 3. Looks like they changed the order. When you change the order, that's the commutative property. And then we're multiplying by 0 again, so that's the 0 property. Ooh, what's that slash mean? Do you guys remember what this slash means in here? It means we're dividing. And that's just because computers don't have a division symbol on there. Somebody needs to contact Apple and PC and get that going. But we do have this slash because fractions are the same thing as a division problem. So this is 0 divided by 12 is 0. And since we're dividing, that's got to be the division rule because all the other properties are for multiplication. We're multiplying by 1 again. What is this property? You better have said identity. Just saying. All right, now we have to find the missing number. Let's do it. 8 times something equals 5 times 8. I notice 8 is on the opposite side of where it was when it started, so we must be changing the order. So all I got to do is take the number that's on this side and bring it over here. So 8 times 5 equals 5 times 8. That makes sense. 75 times 1, man, that's a big number. But we're multiplying by 1. Anything times 1 is itself, so 75 times 1 is 75. Something times 9 is 0. Anything times 0 is 0, so they must be multiplying by 0. 10 times 7 equals 7 times 10. Makes sense. And 12 times 2 is the same as 2 times 12. So that means all I have to do is solve that. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. I just did that 12 times. So our answer would be 24. Okay, moving on. Lesson 6. We're over halfway there. We're doing a great job. We can do this. Hello, associate. The associative property of multiplication brought to you by King parentheses. Everyone take out your parentheses and then make them a crown on your head because you are a king or queen of math. And so we have to remember that when we have 3 or more factors, we should group 2 of them to do first because that helps us narrow down what we're focusing on and then we can do the rest later. So when I have a problem like this, 2 times 5 times 3 equals 2 times 5 times 3, I'm taking what's in parentheses and I do it first, okay, because that's what the king ordered. So 2 times 5 is 10. And then over here, 5 and 3 are in parentheses, so 5 times 3 is 15. Then I come down here and I do what was in parentheses times what was left. So 10 times 3 is 30. And 10 times 3, that's super easy. But over here, 2 times 15, that one's a little bit more tricky. However, if you notice this equals sign, I know 5 times 3 is 15. So 15 times 2 must be the same as 10 times 3, which is 30. So in this case, you would probably pick this side because you know 5 times 2 a lot easier to multiply 10 times 3 than it would be 15 times 2. If we look at the next slide, let's see. Let's do this one. If I look at this slide, I have 5 times 2 times 9 equals 5 times 2 times 9. Keep the same order. We're focusing on associative, which is groupings. 5 times 2 is 10. Over here, 9 times 2 is 18. I know 10 times 9 is 90. So I'm already done with this side. See, this side was a lot easier. I have to bring down the 5, and 5 times 18. I can count 5 18 times, or I can know 5 times 18 is the same as 10 times 9, which must be 90. But let's go for it. Get your hands ready. We're going to do 18, so we're going to have to like put up and down a lot of times. Ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90. That's 18. It is 90. Good job. All right. That's the associative property. Grouping two numbers together so that we aren't looking at 3 because we can't multiply 3 numbers all at once. That's craziness. 2 at a time, people. 2 at a time. All right, now we're going to watch this video. I'm kidding. Now we're going to review that what are these called again? Something times something equals something. I feel like we hopped to this or something. Oh, it was that factor thing, right? A factor times a factor equals a product. And this was all about factors, so that's why we started with that, obviously. We have to find the factors for our numbers. And so we're given basically the product, and we're seeing what times what equals that amount. So for 10, I always start with 1 because of that beautiful identity property. I know 1 times 10 is 10. I also know 10 is an even number, so I know 2 goes into it, and I know it goes in 5 times. So then I'm done because, for 1, I filled in all my blanks, but for 2, if I go on, this was 1, 2, then I would try 3 next, and 3 times 4 is 12, and 3 times 3 is 9, and those are the only numbers I have left between 2 and 5. I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And 3 and 4 are the only ones left, and they don't multiply into 10 at all. So I know I'm done. So you have to do that with each of these numbers. Think about what times what equals that. And the best way to do that is by knowing those songs. Okay, so if I'm down here with 24 and it's got a lot of blanks and I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to know how much this is? What I would do is I would say, well, I know 1 and 24. It's 1 times 24. That's a given. And then I would say, well, 2 goes into 24 because 24 is even. So 2 times what equals 24? Oh, 2 times 12, okay. And then 3 must go in there because I already put that in as a hint, but I don't know how many times. So I can think, well, if I know 3 goes in and I don't know how many times, I can sing my song. Oh, where is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, then there's 24. I'm not frozen, I'm just being silly. So that was 8 times, right? So I would put an 8 over here. And then I'm like, I wonder if 4 goes in. Because it's been 1, 2, 3, so it would be kind of cool if 4 went in. So I could sing my 4 song, right? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. No way. How many times did it go in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times. Boom. So 4 times 6. Now, you know on this worksheet that you're done because there's no more blanks. But I know that I'm done because if I were to think, well, what comes after 4? 5 comes after 4. And what comes after 5? 6. And I'm already over to a digit I've already used. So 5 is the only digit left. And 5 times 5 is 25. So it doesn't fit in. So that's how I know I'm done. All right, next lesson. We're almost there. Yay! And then we'll get to studying with our review notes for our test. Okay, so this lesson was all about multiples, and we're no longer calling our songs skip counting songs. They are multiple songs. So count by 3s is the same as multiples of 3. Count by 7s is the same as multiples of 7. You get the gist. When I say factor, you say rainbow. Factor, factor, I hope you said rainbow. When I say multiple, you say ladder. Multiple. Multiple. Did you say ladder? I hope so. All right. Now, this is a little bit confusing because it's not set up like a ladder. However, if you were to kind of like take your thing and like turn it sideways, all of a sudden it kind of looks like a ladder because like you got the 2 down here and then you're doing times 1. Well, 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So think about the ladders, but we're also listing out our multiples, and that's just saying times 0, times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, however many they ask for. So sometimes they'll say list the first 5. Remember to start with times 0. I couldn't fit that in here on this document, so that's why it's not there, but remember, times 0. So 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6. This is like counting by 2s. Oh, look at this hint. Skip count. Interesting. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and drum roll, 20! Yay! All right. So skip counting by 2s is very basic, very easy. Skip counting by 6s, that's a little bit more difficult. So what's a song that I might know that skip counts by 6? Anybody know? Well, it's got to be the multiples of 6 song, right? So I would say 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, and 48. Oh no, I'm in the way. 54 and 60. Gee, I wonder why we're learning these multiple songs, because I don't know, but that just seemed really easy, even though I'm really bad at counting by 6s. Probably because I knew my song. Okay, so learn your songs. Get it? Got it? Good. Down here, I made a mess in class. I was like throwing circles all over the place because I just think it's so cool that I don't have to copy this. And I don't know who made this, but they're a genius, and I need to contact them and say, how do you do this? It's fun. Technology is a pain, but it's also fun. So multiples of 2, that goes into even numbers. Multiples of 5 goes into numbers that have a 5 in the ones place or a 0 in the ones place. Multiples of 10 have a 0 on the end, so a 0 in the ones place. Multiples of 3, did you guys read this hint? Because it's super cool. Multiples of 3 says the sum of the digits is a multiple of 3. So what does sum mean? Sum means the answer to an addition problem. So what you're doing is you're taking this number and you're saying 4 plus 2 is 6. Is 6 a multiple of 3? Well, yeah, 3 plus 3 is 6, right? So 42, boom chakalaka, is a multiple of 3. Do you see how cool that is? It's super awesome. Ta-da! Now, obviously that's not the only one. So I can sing my 3 songs and see if anything comes up. Oh, where is 3, 6, 9, 12? Oh, look at that. 15, 18, 21. Oh, there's 18. Then there's 24, brings us 27. Oh, where is that 30? And I'm done. So now I need to use that hint. 6 plus 1 is 7. Nope. 7 plus 2 is 9. 3, 6, 9. Yep. 9 plus 3. 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep. 12 is a multiple. We just circled it right there. Don't you see it? Okay, 13. 3 plus 1 is 4. That's a nada. 5 plus 7 is 12. Oh, there's another 12. 57. Who would have thunk? It's such a just weird out there number, but it can be divided by 3. 64. 6 plus 4 is 10. No. 3 doesn't go into 10. 9 plus 3. Well, that's preposterous. And we already did that one. So holy cow, all of those are multiples of 3. How crazy is that? And how cool is that hint? Am I right? Okay. We did it! Now, I didn't go over lesson 8 because it's literally word problems. Use the cube strategy, circle, underline, box, evaluate, and solve till your heart is content with your answer. Make sure you're writing equations for word problems. So if it says that Joey has 3 times as many as Sandy, take however much Sandy had, multiply it by 3 equals X, or equals $, whatever we're finding. Then say what that $, or X equals so that we know that you solved the problem. Okay, but we are done with chapter 3 and we have to review. So take out your math books, turn to page 185, and we're going to do this together. All right, let's zoom in just a wee bit. Zoom, hello. Okay. Oh no, it zoomed out. There we go. Okay, wow, that's a lot of terms. Can we do it? I think we can. Let's do it. Do it to it. All right, associative property of multiplication. Associative property. King parentheses. King parentheses told us that groupings are super important, so I need to look for the word groupings. A group of related facts. No. This is a property. I gotta look for the word property. Property that states the order. No. Property that states 0. No. Property that states the grouping. It's this one. This is letter I. So letter I goes up here. I think I'll be able to keep up with you guys because I'm just writing letters today, not words. Boom. Okay, number 2, commutative property. Oh, do you remember hearing the property that changed the order? It was right here, letter C. Right here. Oh, C for commutative. How cute. The property that states the order in which 2 numbers are changed. Remember, all I had to do was look for property, the word property, and the word order. And here I look for the word property and the word grouping. Don't discount the cube strategy. It's a lifesaver, y'all. Decompose. When something decomposes, it breaks down, right? Okay, let's see. Oh my goodness, I just saw it. A way to break down a number. Look at that. Look for the words break down for decompose. Okay, dividend. That's in my song. Yay! Dividend divided by the divisor equals the quotient. Let's see. Dividend is the first number, so it's the number that's being divided. Do you guys see something that says it's the number being divided? Oh, I see it. It's letter K. Okay. What, is my pen running out of ink? This is a technological pen. Why is it running out of ink? Okay. Divisor. Dividend divided by the divisor. So it's the number we're dividing by. The number by which the dividend is being divided. What, der? Okay, so this is letter B. B. All right, fact family. Let's skip it. Factor. Factor times a factor equals a product. So it's a number being multiplied by another number, right? A number that is multiplied by another number. Holy cow, I just said the definition without even looking at it. Boom. Remember, we skipped number 6, so we're on number 7. Put E at number 7. And identity property of multiplication. Identity is when we multiply by 1. Very good. And look at this. My cursor was right down by it. The property that states when any number is multiplied by 1, that product is that number. Beautifulness. Letter L. Okay, a multiple. Let's see what's left. Okay, we got a group of related facts using the same numbers. We have the property, and multiple isn't a property. The answer of division problem? No. Answer of multiplication problem? No. The product of a given number and any whole number. Well, if I'm finding a multiple and I have a number and I'm multiplying it by another number, I'm finding the product. So the product of a number and any whole number. Guys, that's probably going to be the most strange definition. So know that that one that doesn't make a huge amount of sense goes for multiple. Okay? If you're like, that one's kind of confusing, put it on multiple. It's the product of a given number and any whole number. Work on that one. Product, that's the answer to a multiplication problem. That's G. Quotient, that's the answer to a division problem. That's F. And repeated subtraction, we have repeated subtraction, zero property, and fact family left. Zero property, that would be easy. This is the only property one that's left, and it says any number multiplied by 0 is 0, so obviously that's the zero property, and that's letter D. And repeated subtraction and fact family are left. So on your test, especially for those of you taking it online, make sure that you take a piece of paper or a whiteboard or something and write down all of your vocabulary terms on it that are on your test. Then, as you're going through each question, you can cross off the vocabulary term that you use, so it's kind of like a little checklist for you. Okay, so process of elimination. Repeated subtraction, we have letter J left, and we have letter A left. J and A, AJ. AJ is left. Okay, a group of related facts using the same numbers. That does not sound like repeated subtraction. So a group of related facts would be a fact family. Which means letter J, a strategy used to divide, yep, that is repeated subtraction. Boom. Okay, now that we've completed this page, what you need to do is go on to the next page, and you need to complete the problems on here that we put on this document. So, on page 186, you're going to do numbers 14, 16, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 25, and 26. And then on page 187, you're going to do these three problems, 28, 29, and 32. Do them in your book. Take a nice clear picture for me. Make sure it's in the sunlight or in some sort of light so that we can see it. You can do multiple pictures for a page so that you can zoom in closer so that we can see what you write. Show your work, do your best, and get ready for this test. It's coming on Thursday, okay? So, best of luck. Review, and ask questions if you have them. Bye, guys. Oh, no.